Hello everyone, Diabetes2nd here. Today I'll be talking about the Dragon Warrior Randomizer 2025 Winter League. In this series of videos, the goal is to introduce each flag set for this upcoming event and discuss some of the approaches and strategies an experienced DWR player like myself might take. First, a brief overview of the league. Live racing will begin with 5 weeks of regular season matchups. Players will race in groups of 4 with points assigned depending on finish order, 5 points going to the winner. Group assignments during weeks 1, 2, and 4 are random, while assignments during weeks 3 and 5 will be positional depending on current standings entering those weeks. From there, the top 16 players qualify for playoff elimination rounds, with seeding determined by regular season point totals. Players will continue racing in groups of 4, with the top 2 finishers in each race advancing to the next round. 4 finals participants will face off in a 2-race series, with the fastest aggregate time determining the winner. Players of all skill levels are welcome to join. It is worth noting that all races are held with no prior knowledge of the seed, rotating flag sets for each week are non-standard compared to those usually raced, and various informational resources are available for all players in the DWR Discord. That is to say, newcomers and veterans alike may be facing new and unexpected challenges with less of an experience gap between them as in other formats. If participation as a player is not in the cards, we always have volunteer opportunities available to facilitate our live race broadcasts. Whether as a restreamer, race tracker, or commentator, we greatly appreciate the time and effort dedicated by our volunteers to make these shows happen. No experience is necessary, and we would be happy to get you up to speed should you offer your time. Participant signups are now open and will remain so until Friday, January 31st, 2025 at noon Eastern. A formal reveal of the participant field will be broadcast on Sunday, February 2nd, time to be determined. Regular season racing will begin immediately, with the Final Four to be concluded by the end of March. League launch and update shows, as well as most races, will be broadcast live at twitch.tv/DWRandomizer, and all relevant documents, participant resources, full race calendar, and standings are available via the DWR Discord community. Relevant links in the description below. Let's take a look at the Week 5 flags. Week 5 is titled ChaosThe2nd, and I can't imagine who or how that name came into being. This is the flag set, and a highlighted list of differences from standard flags. Random chest locations and treasure guards are enabled. Monster stats and the XP gold rewards from defeating them are randomized. Scared and scaled metal slimes are therefore turned off. XP requirements to level up are randomized, and heal and hurt will be learned before their respective mores. Summer Sail, Speed Hacks, and Easy Sharlock are all enabled. Some flag combination interactions to note include shuffled chests and searches with treasure guards enabled. Since key items may randomize into the 2 chests in the throne room, and those 2 chests cannot be accessed again after exiting the throne room, it's really unlikely, barring a level 1 hurt more start, that a guard could reasonably be defeated. Therefore, any key item there will not be guarded. Also, the combination of random XP requirements with the fast leveling curve results in randomized level thresholds that tend to follow the standard curve. A variety of resources are available to cope with these changes, such as a compilation of maps highlighting the 60+ alternate chest locations possible in this flag set. Tangential Castle, shown here, is one example, in which the highlighted chests are those not part of the vanilla game. A full set of maps annotating each chest location is available in the DWR Discord. When it comes to randomized values, you may find it beneficial to take notes during gameplay to highlight important discoveries. This week features randomized monster stats and battle rewards, so especially XP-rich targets may be worth annotating, as are those who are physically frail, better handled with magic, or instead fled from. Scary or non-threatening monster abilities may also be good to track for later encounters. Recording discounted equipments and shop availability may help with planning for later upgrades. As noted earlier, I will discuss my thought process in approaching each flag set and note strategic decision making as I go. Of course, your mileage may vary, as not all seeds are created equally. Everyone's strategic preferences and risk tolerances may be different, and my ideas may simply not represent the most optimal strategies. Alright, let's get going with the playthrough. As usual, I'll be providing post-game commentary and analysis as we go through the run. I played this seed a little over a week ago, so I don't remember all the intricate details, but at least the primary story beats. We'll talk about strategic decision-making, differential approaches to seeds and flags like these, and what I think about this as an experienced runner of Dragon Warrior and how to perhaps cope with some of these non-standard flags. Also try to call out good and bad decisions along the way to hopefully help me and you be a little bit better player when it comes to Dragon Warrior. Alright, as we head here into Week 5, we've got ChaosThe2nd, our full Chaos seed, I would say, full Chaos flag set. So all the enemies are going to be completely thrown into a blender, as well as weapon prices and all that good stuff. Starting this one off with Herb and Gold, decent starting stats with 18 Strength, 16 MP, but interestingly no spells to start. We do require keys this week, so we can't leverage that gold immediately into something, and we don't have an extra key to check the treasury and back. I will do a quick pirouette here back to the king, not with the intention of doing any sort of chest grinding, but really to just save. We get an opportunity to check what it's going to take to get to level 2, in this case it's 24 experience points. And perhaps set up walking around to try to find a town to get that gold put to good use. I'm also going to take the other normal vanilla stairs out here, and that allows me to walk down here to the southeast and see both of the additional treasure chest spots. If you didn't catch it, the Untitled Treasury had only 2 treasure chests in it. With the expanded chest pool in this flag set, we will be having to seek out treasure chests in locations that we wouldn't normally think of. So doing that gives me the opportunity to check that off right quick. Both of them were empty, so I don't need to worry about them later. But it is worth noting that there are only 2 treasure chests in Tanthagil, at least Tanthagil proper, upstairs. Not sure what's in the basement yet. So that does have implications for chest glitches, gold grinding, etc. Alright, to the northeast we found the grave, not wanting to dive into there quite yet. Understandable, really the primary goal here is to walk around and see if I can find a town to use my cash. So far, well, Axe Knight with Hurt. Again, it's a good weak ability for it to have later on. I am really a fan of taking notes in general, and I think especially so in non-standard. With all these enemies thrown into a blender, it's a good idea to take heed of, are they strong, are they weak? Are they easily hit by physical weapons or not? Are they susceptible to, particular spells? Do they cast particular spells or have specific abilities? Do they give good rewards? There's a lot of things that we really don't know about these enemies, whereas in vanilla, or not in vanilla, but in standard flags randomizer, it's really more just about figuring out any trolley abilities they have. There's a lot more to factor in here. And with so many moving parts and so many variables, for me personally, it's helpful to note some of those things down. Alright, nothing yet quite here in the early game. Still looking for that elusive town. One thing to remember in this flag set, we have summer sale, but not random weapon prices, as we do finally locate a town down here to the southeast. So we're not going to be able to jump immediately into, like, Flame Sword, Silver Shield territory. But hopefully if we can find Copper Sword, Hand Axe, something like that, we certainly should be able to afford those in terms of upgrades. Unfortunately, we see here in Coal, Broadsword is the weakest weapon, and unfortunately it's also a little bit too costly for us to afford. We will be able to pick up Clothes and Small Shield, but that's not much to work with. Double checking the prices here. Half plate, full plate, pretty good deals there, about 1,500 and 3,000. I'm sorry, full plate. That's about what half plate and full plate would be, but it's actually full plate and magic armor. I make what I think is objectively a mistake here by checking the search tile right away. This could have been a treasure-guarded item, and that would have likely meant an enemy that could easily defeat me, and I would have lost the remainder of my cash. Fortunately for me, it was the Death Necklace, which is not guarded. Only Erdrick's gear and the quest items are guarded. And interestingly about this, if you didn't know, well, the chest that contains the Death Necklace in vanilla is the 5th chest in the Mountain Cave, and most of us probably never located the Death Necklace unless we got really lucky. But picking up that last chest normally gives between 100 and I believe 127 gold, or something thereabouts. But the same property basically exists here in Randomizer, it's just that instead of the 1 in 32 chance to pick up the Death Necklace, we always get that on the first try, and then it reverts to the gold. And that allows us to, on a search tile here, especially in coal, just pick it up over and over again and do our own sort of slow but safe gold grind here in town. So now I should have the opportunity to buy everything that I want, in this case broadsword, and probably magic armor based on the number that I'm grinding up to. Certainly could have cut a little bit of time by not getting that extra 1500 gold settling for full plate. Magic armor doesn't give any extra defense, but it does give 1/3 protection from hurt and hurt more, as well as 1 to 4 walking regen, so I don't think that's a bad play by any means. Broadsword for 20 extra attack power is definitely the most important pickup right now. But what I should have done, instead of checking that spot and potentially giving up half my cash, although I probably wouldn't be spending all of it anyway, would be to head down exactly as I am now to the item shop, picking up a full complement of herbs, a dragon scale for that extra 2 defense, maybe if I wanted to buy a wing or 2. I know that I'm going to forget to do it, but I probably also would be well intentioned here to pick up torches, since torches can be thrown in battle to do a guaranteed 6 to 9 damage. Sometimes those early game enemies can have ridiculous defense stats, so even with the 20 extra attack power from the broadsword and our decent starting stats, it probably is better to at least have the option to use those. And I have the cash in the inventory space, so why not? Regardless, now that we've done that, we're going to head right back toward the castle. One of the important things to recognize and note about Chaos is that the starting zones are definitely where you want to start your journey, as we take out a Drakey and get a couple of levels. The heal spell, really important there in the early game, allowing that survivability, allowing potentially some exploration. But the important thing in the early zones is zone 0, 1, and 2, so that's the zone that Tanthagel spawns in, and then those that are east-west and north-south of start, respectively, are guaranteed to have at least one specific enemy that is the wet noodle, as we call in the community. Basically an enemy that has minimal strength, minimal hit points, and no scary abilities. As a result, it should be a guaranteed means to get off the ground in terms of progress in the seed, and they're really important to seek out in the early game to not get stuck. Well, I'll just stop talking because we got 50 strength and 30 plus and everything else. Drakey number 2 got us from level 3 to level 8. That's the beauty of random XP per level, is that sometimes the game is very generous. We also got 6 of the 7 remaining spells. The only one we don't have is Hurt More. Well then, we can do whatever we want. Within reason. Yeah, that's another reason why grinding in the early game is really, really important. You don't know exactly where those stats are going to come. You don't know when those levels are going to come because of the random XP requirements. We do have this attached to the, what we call fast, or 75% XP curve, but again, it's all, since it's all shuffled and uncertain, there still can be really, really easy to achieve early levels, and then long gaps in the mid-game or in the late game, or vice versa. It might take a ton to get to an early level, and then everything clusters together later, so it's really important to do that grind in the early game. In this case, with Broadsword, which already is 20 attack power, plus probably close to 70 or so strength as well, we're looking at, you know, well over 100 attack power. The only thing we don't have that would be useful in exploration The best defense is a good offense when it comes to Chaos many times, is that without the option to cast Hurt More to potentially dispatch foes that either have ridiculously high defense, or, well, I guess if they have ridiculously high defense, they also have ridiculously high agility, making them difficult to run from. If you can't do damage to them physically, and they're tough to run away from, one way to get rid of them is to just Hurt More blast them away. Alternatively, things like sleep can be really important. If they don't have high resistance to sleep, they'll really... it'll be beneficial to do that because you're guaranteed to run if the enemy is asleep. Nothing else to the southeast there. So really, the name of the game at this stage is just get around, try to identify and locate some very lucrative enemies to fight. That's probably the #1 thing. We haven't seen anything tremendously great, I don't think, so far. We're also going to take the opportunity to head back into the grave here. Do a little bit of what seems to be kind of aimless walking. We're looking for those additional treasure chest spots. Radiant is very nice to have when you have the expanded chest pool, or random chests, enabled, and that's because you can see across the walls to some of those spots where, where treasure chests may be without actually having to walk around to them. Well, there were 2 treasure chests on the west side of the top floor of the grave. That one appears to be guarded by a knight, and we got hit for nearly 90 damage. So, yeah, that's not ideal. Looks like I'm going to go back at it. I don't dislike the play in and of itself. Again, because enemies are such as they are here, as we get absolutely bopped again, getting ambushed definitely does not feel good in context here. You know, an enemy may have ridiculously high attack power, and almost no defense or hit points. So it might be a ridiculous glass cannon. So, if we get First Strike, if we get the opportunity to swing, or cast Hurt More, or whatever, of course we don't have Hurt More in this case, we might just be able to take it out regardless. So again, something to keep in mind here. Other thing to keep in mind, while spike tile enemies, so those that are guarding the Sharlock throne room right before the Dragon Lord, in the Swamp Cave and in Hawksness, while those will be shuffled along with and placed based on a scoring system in the Chaos flag set, so the highest stat enemies based on a scoring system with stats and abilities will be shuffled among those locations and also placed into Sharlock Castle. The same is not true of the treasure guards. The treasure guard pool is the same regardless. So you're still going to have all of your mid-game enemies like the Knight, or the Demon Knight, or the Wyvern, or Magi-Wyvern. It's going to be that same pool of enemies. As a result, you may have some treasure guards that are absolute pushovers that do nothing, run away, have no stats, and really aren't very much of a guard at all. On the other hand, you may have something like the Knight where, well, you saw what happened there. Twice, in fact. So it's very difficult to say. So it is usually worth giving a second look, especially if it's as close as this one is. Also, I tried to run away after it ambushed me. Probably would have been better to just swing. Although I will say the fact that it has now ambushed me twice, probably, although certainly doesn't definitively mean that it has high agility. High agility means high defense, and high defense means I'm probably not going to be doing much, if any, damage to it. Again, not impossible that I could still get a one-shot kill, two-shot if we don't get ambushed, but yeah, the odds there are not great. We also could try something like Hurt. And if it doesn't have a lot of hit points, we might be able to sneak a kill out that way. But, discretion being the better part of valor, I would probably want to make sure I get Hurt More before trying that again. But we could take a look at the other treasure chests. Again, knowing that both the quest items and Erdrick's gear are treasure guarded, there's a 2 in 5 chance that that's an important thing to get now. The sword or armor. But there's a 3 in 5 chance that it's just a piece of the puzzle that, while we need it, we don't necessarily need it now, where we don't know where Charlock is, we don't know where the turn-in caves are, we're nowhere near ready on the stat front, we haven't found anything yet. So it's not urgent that we get those things, so repeatedly hammering at that spike tile, or that treasure guard, is not necessarily the best play. New piece of information, werewolf with the big breath. Not what you want to see. We'll take the opportunity here to at least check the northeast portion and the vanilla chests here in the grave as well. There's up to 3 that can be up here. It looks like only 1 is in place. It's just wings. See what I opt to do here. We're going to go back outside. There are 4 more possible treasure chests in the grave, but all of them are sort of separate from one another, and generally, at least compared to other locations, they're a bit of a longer walk each to get to. So I don't dislike this play of skipping that until later. Also, more importantly, I can't check them. I don't have keys. I think it took me a second to realize, and I'm just remembering now, it's like, ah, yeah, that's why I did that. I started to walk in that direction and cast outside, because I can't check them anyway. I do not have key access, but that is a reason to potentially dive into caves that have chest availability that aren't key blocked, because we are really going to be in desperate need of keys. That's probably one of the primary differences between the expanded chest pool and not, is that there are so many more key blocked chests. We're looking at one spot that's empty here in Garenham. There's another in the back of Garenham that's key blocked. There's a couple in Breckenary that are key blocked. There's another one in Remolder that's key blocked. 2 more in Cole that we saw, fortunately, were empty, that are key blocked. So the dependence on keys in this flag set is so much greater. So you really want to try to find keys as quickly as possible. Not that you wouldn't anyway, but it's even more important to get to checking things. Now, whether we find those or try to find those keys in a cave, because they very well could be key blocked themselves, or we find Remolder and do so by doing overworld exploration. Either way, finding keys is high on the priority list right now. Continue to explore around, just kind of randomly attacking things, running away from other things. Again, trying to build that pool of information about enemies that are easy to defeat and worth a decent pool of experience points. Poltergeist, not too bad. Usually, and again, it's seed dependent, things that are worth, let's say, triple digits or better are usually the types of enemies that I tend to keep in mind. Those are the ones that, especially if they're easy to defeat. If they're not easy to defeat, it's kind of neither here nor there, but those are the ones that I usually keep in mind and try to annotate. Alright, a trio of locations. We've got the Mountain Cave, a lot of possible treasure chests there, so probably a good place to dig out. We'll take a look at the town first. It is Breckenary. Now I see that there is one chest in the inn. Silver Shield is available in the shop. Am I going to check to see if there's a second treasure chest? No, I'm not. Again, I can't access them because I don't have keys, so it really doesn't matter. I guess it could be good information to see that there was or wasn't a second treasure chest, but it's, again, it really doesn't matter. Right, the other cave is the Swamp Cave. There are 3 treasure chests there, 2 of which I can access without keys. The third one is in Gwaelin's cell, and interestingly, you can't actually see in Gwaelin's cell. Even with Radiant, even if you go specifically to try to look, so we will not know if Gwaelin has a treasure chest with her unless we defeat the spike tile enemy. Alright, I like the idea here. This is definitely the most chest-rich place we can go. Alright, nothing down here on the bottom right. I could go down the stairs there and check 2 more treasure chest spots that I could see over the wall, but there's nothing actually down there. From the northwest stairs, I can see 4 spots. 1 would be in that little cell, but it looks like only 1 of the other 3. we also saw with Radiant that the vanilla chest here on the top floor is available. But again, this is all because of Radiant. We would only see a couple of those spots if we didn't have Radiant up. So Radiant before cave diving with this expanded chest pool, really, really helpful. Big time saver in terms of having to walk around each of these spots independently. Finally, a level up to level 10. Still no Hurtmore. Hurtmore's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking for with levels at this stage. Alright, no treasure chests in the middle and to the right. Reestablishing Radiant. Again, only one of the 3 treasure chests up here are active. It's a magic key. Well, that was important to find now. Okay, the vanilla 5th treasure chest is not there, but there is one spot I didn't get a chance to see. Ambush Magician for 59. There's one treasure chest spot that I did not see. Not sure if there's a treasure chest or not there. But we did find a key, and that is huge. So we haven't found Rim yet, and we didn't have key access until now. We can take that directly over to the key vendor here in Tanthagil, talk to him, fill up on keys, and then start checking the spots that we've already seen. Again, no treasure chest in Cole. We did see one in Breckenary. We didn't see any in Garenham, but there's the opportunity for 4 in the back plus the cave. Important as well, for chest grind, gold grind purposes here, we only grabbed 2 treasure chests in the mountain cave. Going to the throne room increments the counter up to 5, and those are only chests 6 and 7, so nothing grindable there. We would rely on there being at least 2 treasure chests in the basement, since there are also no treasure chests here on the right side of the castle to get a gold grind or chest grind of any type going. At this point, it would have to be Tablet Cave or Stones Cave in order for that to be the case. You know what? It's the Stones Cave, so there will be one grindable chest. Is one of the chests in the castle gold? It's not, and this last one was the Fighter's Ring. I mean, it's 2 attack power. Sure. Yep. Don't need to go to Cole. There's nothing in the treasure, nothing in the locked spots there. Could go Dive Grave, but again, 4 treasure chests. It does require a key, which is really inconsequential at this point since I have keys. 26 HP, 25 MP. Pretty clutch. Also, I didn't note it, but when I died and went to the king, I know that when I was playing, and I definitely missed it while I was walking here or watching here as well, I did not pay attention to the XP needed to level up, and that is a really important thing to know. It's something that you, in standard flags, don't really pay attention to because the leveling curve is fixed. You know exactly when the levels are coming. In this flag set, when it's unknown, it is important to gather that piece of information. Sometimes it can be really important to understand what you should be doing. If you're a couple hundred experience points from a level versus a couple thousand, it might benefit you to go ahead and get that level up before advancing. Well, Garenham, 0 for 5. What about the back? Staff Cave turn-in, and we are harpless. I repeat, harpless. So no dice in Garenham. We do know that there's a treasure chest in Breckenary. At least one, so we can head there next. Could also consider trying a spike tile, or at least checking the spots in the Swamp Cave that aren't key blocked. Looks like only one treasure chest here. If there were another one, it would be on the bottom right. I like this play here, even though I was pretty full on resources. Go to the inn. This could be a treasure guard, and you might need the resources. It is guarded by a very easy green dragon that is doing its best gold man impression. And it's the Silver Harp. So that's quest item number 1. But I wish in terms of order of operations I had gotten that before going into the back of Garenham, but it is what it is. Garenham was first on the trip, so it made no sense to do otherwise. It looks like I'm heading back to go do that turn-in first. The knight has other plans for us, however. I didn't see one there before. I'm not sure if I stepped on that spot previously. Theoretically, one thing to watch for in this flag set is for a treasure guard enemy on the overworld. It's possible to stumble over the search tile. So it is worth considering, if you defeat an enemy that can be a treasure guard, to go ahead and search that tile after the fact. Or if you know, like for example, a zone shouldn't be able to have that enemy in it, to go ahead and do that search, because it very well could be that you've accidentally found the overworld search spot. I'm not sure if that's the case there. I don't know if I walked over that exact tile or we just happened to encounter a knight that sent us back. What I was going to say is it's important, or I like the idea of going to do that turn-in now. That way, if I get everything and I find the rainbow drop turn-in, I'm good to go. I don't have to backtrack for it. Opting to dig out the 4 treasure chest spots here in the grave. I went down the bottom right staircase first. There is a spot down on the bottom right, and then I kind of looped up and over. There's no treasure chest accessible there, but you could see across the wall the treasure chest from the center staircase on the above hub floor, and there's no treasure chest there. So we know that we can skip that check. Unfortunately, much like Gwaelin's cell, we cannot see from any angle around the vanilla harp chest. So we have to go all the way to the bottom to check that one out. And that is the 4th and final opportunity here. No dice for anything worthwhile in the vanilla curse belt chest there, so we are on to the final check to determine whether or not the dive deep grave was worth it. Important considerations. I do have outside. I've had that for a while, so that's not something to worry about. Could have or thought of about, you know, not in this seed, but in general, if you're diving back into a cave like this, could I set up a gold grind and get something going? We know there's no gold in the castle, so that's not something to be worried about, but could you set one up along the way? Kind of the killing 2 birds with 1 stone approach. Unfortunately, no treasure chest there at the bottom. Opting not to engage the knight once again, which probably makes sense, considering we were just taken out by one a few minutes ago. Probably want hurt more before trying that. Or at least better stats. Maybe we find the sword elsewhere, assuming that that knight isn't guarding the sword. Continuing on with exploration, not really finding much of anything. We should be in the general vicinity once again of Garenham. Should take the opportunity to do the turn-in. There it is. Oh, Diabetes, I think you forgot something. Maybe I'll remember. Nope. Well, that is potentially a miss. Again, not catastrophic, but something to at least keep in mind that I have not done the turn-in for the staff yet. Hopefully I recall before thinking I have it and going to make the rainbow drop and not having all the pieces of the puzzle. Back into the mountain cave. You know, I don't super agree, but also don't super disagree with this one. There is one treasure chest spot that I don't know that there's a treasure chest there to check. There is a chest, so I guess it is worth coming down here for. I guess it's, if nothing else, you can check it off the list that it's done. And it's fairy water. So really, nothing there. could continue exploration, or I think the better play here is what I appear to be doing, which is heading into the swamp cave. Again, I saw the swamp cave earlier, but didn't even go a couple of steps east to see the bottom right corner. See if there's a chest there. There's also one in the top, or potential one in the top right corner, just gold. Along with the one in Gwaelin's cell. As you see, we walk around here. There's no way to see that treasure chest spot. Alright, nothing in the top right. Check out the spike tile. It's a gold man that has sleep and very high defense. Not impossible to take it out. I'm just saying, you know what? No, not worried about it. I don't have coordinates where I desperately need to save the princess. I don't desperately need exactly that specific treasure chest if it exists. I don't mind that. Opportunities there to cast something like sleep and then hurt, or stop spell and hurt, and see if I can get through the fight. Maybe the Goldman's really a worthwhile, lucrative enemy to fight. But we end up going through the swamp cave and find Tablet Cave just outside. Again, 3 treasure chests here. The use of Radiant allows us to see those treasure chests without having to walk the extra mile to check them independently. So the top right corner on the first floor. The bottom left corner does have a chest, and not only a chest, a guarded chest by the Rogue Scorpion with Erdrick's token. So that is quest item number 2. And it's kind of narrowing the field for what that knight is guarding in the grave. It's now, we said before, it was a 2 in 5 chance of being something we'd want really early if we could. Now it's a 2 in 3 chance. Sword, armor, or stones. Alright, dead end there otherwise. So we can go south from here. Also, Star Wyvern, I didn't mention it when I saw the first one, but that's the second one now, as we see we are in the northeast corner of the map. This is by far the most lucrative enemy we've seen. They seem to be very easy to take down, so it could be worth a while just hanging out here right now, versus annotating that they are here, and this might be a good place to come back to and grind. I didn't mention that again earlier. I think that not only keeping track of stats and what enemies are worth fighting is important, as once again the knight is bane of our existence. We tried to attack, we did 1 damage, so that's not going to work. But keeping in mind and annotating where those good enemies are located, also very important. Again, in this flag set where you have the random rewards from enemies, in vanilla or in standard flags, we most often end up grinding when necessary on the spike tile enemies, particularly those in Hawksness and the Swamp Cave, because they're going to be a certain tier of enemy that give a certain level of reward. And generally speaking, at least late in the game, we are very likely going to have the stats and spells and things to take them out efficiently. That might not be the case here. Even if they are worth a bit, which is debatable as to whether or not they will or won't be, they may not be easy to take out, kind of regardless. We've already seen that the Gold Man is not very susceptible to physical attacks. It might be easy to take out by other means, but even if it is, it might only be worth a couple of experience points, so it might not be a good option. So keeping in mind not only which enemies are good to fight on the overworld, but where they are can be really important. The enemy that you fought, again now, like 20-30 minutes into the seed, when you're finally in that, I need to grind hardcore levels right now to be ready for the Dragon Lord, and it's 40 minutes later, you might remember or have written down, oh yeah, Star Wyverns, those are good. Where were they again? And you have to try to pull that from your brain. It might be worth taking an annotation of that as well. So knowing that they're through Swamp Cave in the northeast corner could be good to know. Alrighty. With that long soliloquy in mind, we have found Hawksness. There is a treasure chest spot here, one of the few that we have remaining. We've checked the vast majority of the spots in the game at this stage. So there's a treasure chest. There also is, of course, the spike tile and search spot. Wings, we don't need those since we already have return. Sometimes it's helpful to keep an extra set just in case you run out of MP, but I don't think that'll be an issue. I think we're down to Remolder and Cantlin. Plus, of course, the search tile here, and the potential overworld search tile as well. Okay, Magician is strong. I knew that already. Can we get through the fight? Is it susceptible to sleep, perhaps? Well, at least not in that attempt. Ouch. 1784 for the level, so nearly 5,000 needed. And decent odds that something important is there. And sword, armor, stones. Could also be the flute, which in this flag set tends to be fairly worthless. Again, it still only works on the golem, and chances are the golem is nowhere near as scary or important or relevant. Speaking of which, see, the golem is running away. Who cares? I guess theoretically you could put the golem to sleep and try to hack it down if it's a worthwhile enemy to fight. It does appear that I'm going to take a moment to pace in the hills here and maybe try to fight golems. I'm not sure. I think I did take one out. I don't recall what the reward was, but it could be a worthwhile enemy. I still think if I'm going to dedicate myself to a grind, that Star Wyvern to the northeast corner is probably the best place to go. It's also a pretty distant walk to get to. We had to loop all the way past Grave, Garenham, and then over by Breckenary to do it. Rogue Scorpion's decent. Not the best, but decent. Two-shot for, what, about 80 or so? Oh, no, never mind. Why am I fighting this? Okay, this is why I'm here. Star Wyverns are also in the area. 180. We can get them consistently. That 5,000 is going to come just like that. 3 in a row. You'll love to see it. Quick 500 plus XP. Again, one thing I didn't do when I was playing this seed is to actually take notes when it comes to the enemies. Normally I would have, as I showed in the introduction, an actual table that just lists all the enemies where I can take little notes. I didn't have anything printed out, and I don't have like a laminate sheet with that information normally for non-standard since I play so little non-standard, but definitely worth doing and having. And since I didn't, there's definitely some enemies here that I've fought, and I just don't remember what they were worth and whether they were worth fighting. And you just fought the Rogue Scorpion. You know the Rogue Scorpion's not worth anything. Stop fighting the Rogue Scorpions. I think I'm also concerned, as you're noticing, I'm now kind of drifting over to the west side here. Am I straddling multiple zones? Is the Star Wyvern in one of them but not the other, and I just have a very low chance of encountering them? I'm a little worried about this grind because it's not going well. I got several Star Wyverns in a row and then just can't find them anymore. And trying to deal with the gold man there. Sleep didn't work. Stop spell or hurt, both would have been good options. Sleep is not a bad option, to be fair, either. Alright, I think I'm done. It's not going well to continue that. I'm not even going to head back into Hawksness. Worried about that Magician. It might be better to just find a good spot to grind, find some decent enemies, hope that level 13 gets hurt more, or maybe 14, 15, 16 are close if they have hurt more. finding new enemies to fight. The troll doesn't seem to be a good option because we're not doing very much damage to it. Hurt, yes. Okay, doesn't have a lot of hit points. Doesn't give a lot of experience points either, so... meh. Well, I had to do over 200 damage to take out that Druid for 95, so... again, in terms of efficiency, not great. Alright, another town. Rim or Cantlin, it's Remulder. One treasure chest here. There's another spot inside the covered area to the west. Again, I think doing the right thing here, topping off the resources just in case, making sure it max hit points, max MP. But I've run out of keys. Well, let's go at least check the spot over here. This one doesn't require a key. It'd be on the far left side there, and there is no treasure chest there. So we're going to have to buy keys and come back in. Again, keeping an eye on the key count with such a key-dependent flag set, very important. Fortunately, I ran out of them in the town where I can buy them. If I had run out of them, let's say, well, I mean, really anywhere else. Or let's say I was in Cantlin, but didn't open that door and instead checked either the inn or the coordinates and ran out of keys before getting more. That would have been pretty bad. I know where to find them, and Rim is, I mean, it's not close to home, but at least I'd know where it is in this case. That's not ideal. So keep an eye on the key count. No guard, and it's a torch. Another location crossed off the list. Well, take a look at the shop here. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. I've already found the silver shield. I guess I don't have a large shield at this stage. Flame sword I think I have seen, but there's no way I can afford it at this point. It's only 8 extra attack power, so I'm not sure that it's super useful to chase after. Okay, Wraith is decent. 110 was a one-shot. Armored Knight, there we go. Okay, okay. 178 one-shot. Yeah, you got yourself a stew going. Just depends on what else is in the area. And it's very easy in this type of flag set for one enemy, or 2 enemies even, to be very good, and for the rest of it to be absolutely poisonous. Okay, wow. Okay. Star Wyvern as well. We might have found, our endgame grind zone. Troll's not very good, I shouldn't be fighting this. Although, again, if we're doing very little damage, that means it also has high agility, so it may be difficult to run from. So it might be faster or better to just hurt it a couple times. But it's definitely not worth fighting. But 3 out of 5 is pretty darn good. Anytime it... like, 2 is okay. 1 is usually tough, unless it's so good that it's worth dealing with. Or if some of the other enemies are okay enough. 15 agility is nice, but again, no hurt more. We don't know when the next level will come. It may come very quickly. It may take a long time to achieve. So that's another benefit potentially to saving Gwaelin early or saving her at all. Being able to check when those level thresholds are going to be in the field. But who needs Gwaelin? Just kill another couple things and we'll get that level right away. 16 hit points and hurt more. You'll love to see it. Alright. Probably should head right back to Hawksnest now. Looks like there's nothing else up here in the Rim vicinity. I started to head back, or down to where I think Garenham is, but making the better decision here to Looks like head back to Hawksnest. See if we can take out that magician. Or this magician, for that matter. Okay. Perfect. Not worth a ton, but if we could one-shot it easily with Hurtmore, I have good confidence that I'll be able to get that done here. It started to go north. Is Hawksness not over there? Oh, it might be around the side here. Or I don't know where I'm going. Again, it would be a really good idea to go to Hawksness now. Sword, armor, stones are the things that we still are going to need. If it's the flute, I mean, we just don't pick it up. It's not a big deal. Okay. You know, I mean, this is important too. We needed to go back for this as well. I probably would have done it in a different order because of the duration of the walk, but now we're in the grave. We're going to try to take out this knight here. Hurtmore lands, Hurtmore one-shots. You love to see it. 238. That's also pretty good, and he was guarding the armor. So we didn't necessarily see a ton of enemies where that would have been tremendously beneficial over the magic armor. So we're thinking specifically breath attacks for the most part, or enemies that cast stop spell. But it certainly would have been nice to have earlier. But nothing too critical there, but it is a key item that we needed. Now we're going to head up to Hawksnest, try to take down the Magician. See if Hurtmore works on this one as well as it did on the first. It does. And here in Hawksnest, we have the stones. Alright, that's the third and final quest item. The sword is the only thing left. Again, depending on the stats and everything else, we technically aren't required to get it, but it's hard to give up that 20 extra attack power over the broadsword. Leveraging Repel now. Repel is kind of a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to what most of us call chaos, but really anything with the random enemy stats and random rewards. So often, as we've seen here in this seed, there are a lot of enemies that are very lucrative, that are very weak. So if you're casting Repel, you're not getting those encounters. But if our primary focus, at least at this stage, is I need to get around, I need to find the things I need to find, and I can worry about grinding later, or I have a spot that I know that I want to grind, I don't want a million random semi-okay encounters. I only want the best ones in the best spot. It's not a bad idea to leverage it at some points. That looks like what I'm doing now. Also, we see just how important picking up Hurtmore was in the seed. If I had dedicated myself to a grind significantly sooner, we probably wouldn't have died as many times as we did to those spike tile enemies, whether on the overworld or in the caves, or in the dungeons on those tiles. So really, it just emphasizes even more greatly how the level grind can make a massive difference in a seed. Picking up Hurtmore was super important. Well, there's Cantlin. That's an interesting spot for it. I guess it's kind of in position saying, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be inside the castle walls here. What's going on? I don't get it. Sherlock kicked me out. That's funny. Taking a quick look here, looking for the large shield, still no find. It is worth noting that there is a silver shield there, so if we happen to get the cash and we're ready to go into Sherlock to go win the game, we can pick that up right as we're heading in. Oh, there's a large shield there. A cheap but efficient upgrade. 6 extra defense. Alright, we saw the inn spot when we came into town. See if we can grab coordinates here. No coordinates. Is there a chest in the bottom left here? Again, important to remember these. I'm famous for not remembering to check these, or remembering that, oh yeah, right, it's the expanded chest pool. I need to make sure that I grab all of these. Does Caitlin have the last thing we want? No, it does not. Curse belt number 2, which only confirms what we already knew. 2 of the search spots are active. We're not going to find a third curse belt because the third one is inactive. I like this as well. I'm not sure what the exact key count is. We'll probably determine it based on the number of keys I pick up here. But remembering to fill up on keys, even though we've checked, I think, everything outside of Charlock at this point, Charlock Castle has a lot of doors. You don't really think about that, usually, because you open 1 door in vanilla, maybe 2 if you check the treasury. Or sorry, you open 1 in the treasury, so you're not going to need more than 1 key. But in this flag set, there is the potential to use, like, 5? So you really want to make sure that you're filled up on keys before you head into Charlock. North of Cantlin, this is going to connect to where we came through Swamp Cave. Interesting. So this is an area that we've already seen. So the last thing we've yet to find that we still need is the Rainbow Drop Turn-In. But we kind of order of operation things here kind of interestingly, because I'm going to have the opportunity to defeat the Goldman, which is worth 343 experience points. Holy moly, that never happens. That is so good, and it was a one-shot with Hurtmore. Oh boy. Get a chance to check. There is no treasure chest, but there is Gwaelin, and we can take Gwaelin home. And taking Gwaelin home allows us to get Gwaelin's love and to be able to check our XP to level on the fly. Uh-oh. That's the problem here, though. Uh-oh. Oh, that's worse. As I say, the Goldman doesn't seem to be too overly strong, but Hurtmore can be a bit of a game changer if we're slept for a long time. He's got high agility, so he's going to ambush us probably more than I would like. It's got to be very careful here. But I do like this. If I, again, in retrospect, or thinking about this now, I think it's a great idea to potentially burn out the resources. This is a really, really crazy lucrative grind spot. So if I can max out a whole bunch of experience points from this, and then still successfully take the princess home, even better. Multiple levels already in tow, let's go. The game's not giving us much to work with, minimal strength gains. But nonetheless, at least 12 MP on that last level. Okay, get a little aggressive here. Probably should be casting Heal More, go back to full hit points. Alright, good, good, good. Technically could be casting Stop Spell. I'm not sure what the resistance for the Goldman is. But since we can one-shot with Hurtmore, it's probably not warranted. He hasn't resisted a Hurtmore cast at any point yet either. Doesn't mean he can't, just means he hasn't yet, so the odds are his resistance is low, if not 0. If we're going to cast Outside and Return, we need to maintain 14 MP. If we're going to cast Return Only, we need to maintain 8 MP. Don't think I have any wings in the inventory. Maybe I do, since I'm continuing to go after it. If I do, that's a pretty decent heads-up play. It's like, hey, I have wings, this isn't a problem. Doesn't mean I do have to walk out of the swamp cave here, but... Okay, this is a possibility as well. The Swamp South exit actually takes us quite near Breckenary. That's not the worst. We do need to be in the vicinity for two reasons. One, I think, based on everything I've seen so far, south and east of here is the only way to go for further exploration to find the rainbow drop turn-in. And I still haven't gone back to Garenham to do the turn-in for the harp, or from the harp to the staff yet. I got sniped last time. Do I remember to do that now? I sure hope so. Nope, we're going south. There is a path through here to the west. There can't be a ton of land over here based on the map. Could have gone a bit north, but that would have to be a relatively quick dead end. There it is. Well, am I going to remember? Nope. Yeah, you still have the harp. Whoopsie doodle. It's a little bit of an unfortunate inefficiency there. At this stage, it probably would make more sense to cast Return, take the princess back, and then, as I'm walking back through here, go to Garenham for the staff and come back through. I guess looking for a shortcut there. I know that there's no way south of Tanthagil to go, but I suppose we're gonna walk it back and back again. Nope, not that town. The other one. I'm definitely frustrated at this point. I think I'm realizing, oh yeah, that's right. I went to go back to do this earlier, died to the knight, and then never went and actually did this. So a little bit of time inefficiency here between walking past it a couple of times and then walking to where the rainbow drop turn-in was, having to walk all the way back here, and then I'm gonna have to walk back again. It's at least several minutes, so definitely want to make sure that you've actually gotten all the things. Let's see what I opt to do here. Will I return now? No. So walk it back again. And repel at least helping out, keeping most of the encounters away. I think any additional grinding that is going to be done on the spike tile in the swamp cave. It's fairly accessible. I mean, it's not too far out of the way. Just to the north and east of swamp is where the pathway to Charlock is. Breckenary is there to heal on the way in. Or, sorry, Cantlin is there on the way in. I don't have the stats in front of me, although I think I did flash the stats there quickly. We have something like 95 at strength, which is great. If we get the, or like once we get the sword, we've got very high attack, or sorry, pretty high attack power. Death Necklace safe HP technically, although I don't necessarily like using the Death Necklace in with Chaos enemies, simply because Dragonlord 1 could be an absolute beast, so could the Spike Tile for that matter. Talk to the king again. How much do we need for another level? 3,700. It's kind of far away. Nearly 14,500 for level 18, so if I can avoid grinding another level, that would be great. It would be relatively quick on the gold man, but not ideal to have to pursue. So at this stage, with the sword in Charlock, there's still a lot of treasure chests in there, in a wide variety of spots, so that will be something I'm going to have to contend with. Alright, back to the grind we go. Again, I don't disagree here. It's not too unreasonable. Oh, well, maybe not. Am I going to make a cheeky play for the Silver Shield? Could also make a play for the Flame Sword. I don't remember which shop it was in, but it definitely was somewhere. Flame Sword would give you 8 extra attack power. I kind of poo-pooed it a bit earlier as irrelevant, but if I'm going to try to dive through Sharlock, not bother with the treasure chest and pick up... not bother with the chest to pick up the sword and go to win without it, that could save some time. Although, again, with Chaos Dragonlord, it's a bit of an adventure to try to plan that out. So, in standard flags, the Dragonlord fight is pretty predictable. I mean, Dragonlord Part 1, as we continue the grind here toward 14.5 or so. Dragonlord Part 1 is pretty straightforward. I'm seeing if I can cheekily get around casting Hurt more and getting a little bit more efficient, but nope. We can't take it out with 1 hurt. Or 2 hurts for that matter. But Dragonlord Part 1, 75 to 100 hit points. It's got Hurt more and Stop Spell. It's not super duper strong. It's fairly straightforward. Dragonlord Part 2, while he's very strong, 50% Dragonlord Breath. No additional spells or anything to worry about. 150 to 165 max HP is a pretty narrow range. When it comes to non-standard and having this Chaos enemy set, Dragonlord 1 might be extremely scary. Could have 200 plus in all stats. Might hit like a train and put you to sleep. Might heal more in battle or something. So that could be pretty nasty. And Dragonlord Part 2 can have anywhere between 100 and 230 max HP. So it doesn't become as much of an exercise in as we typically do the math in standard as like, okay, well I need number of heal mores plus 2 is the number of attacks I need to win in. 1116. Gee, thanks, game. It becomes more an exercise in, well, if I've got 13 heal mores, which I have currently, can I win in 15 attacks, or how much damage can I do in 15 attacks? On average, let's say. And then there's some risk management calculation going on. Another level. I didn't check with Gwaelin's Love. I certainly could have. Another terrible level, 0183. It's some hit points, at least. Opting to use herbs here to maintain 3 hurt mores. But yeah, it's one of those deals where it's like, well, let's say I have 130 attack power, 7 to 15 damage, somewhere around 11 or a little bit less on average. I've got 15 attacks, I'm figuring, or about 15 attacks, assuming no doubles or whatever. I can do like 150, 160 maybe? I got a chance at a double or 2, maybe I can get to 170? Like, how do I manage that? Like, is it, like, if the range is 100 to 230, is it worth pushing for that? Or do I go and grind more and say, I want to make sure that I can do basically the full range? Or do you go in early and say, you know what, maybe I'm going to get lucky here, and maybe I can do 115, and that's going to be enough? So there's a lot of kind of risk assessment and management. It's not only how much damage you can do, how difficult is Sharlock, how difficult is Dragonlord 1, how far away is Sharlock if you were to fail. Looks like I might be buying up Fairy Waters as well here. Selling the Death Necklace, gonna potentially a little bit of a risky play if we need the extra attack power, although giving up the hit points is kind of a downer. That will give me enough gold. I certainly didn't need the gold to buy fairy waters, but I get the inventory spot, but it probably is going to give me enough cash to buy the silver shield here. I won't be able to buy the flame sword wherever that was, but I can buy the silver shield, which appears to be what I'm doing. Well, we're up to 15 heal mores in addition here, so we've definitely got some things to work with. I never did check to see exactly when the next level up is, I don't think. You know, repel might have been a good idea. I could always just stop at the inn in Cantlin if I really feel like I need to. Or I could have just healed in Cantlin in the first place anyway. Alright, there we're going to do our level check. Oh no! 11,500 for the next level. I don't think we're going to nearly 28,000 experience for another level. We are going to be winning at level 19, no matter, come hell or high water. That's what's going to happen, because we are not grinding that much. Even if the gold man is pretty simple, even if it's fairly fast, that's way too much. Alright, drop in place. Opting to go left here. Again, with the expanded chest pool, there are potential treasure chests across all staircases here in Charlock. To the right, you have the kind of like interior portion of the first dark floor, which has 5 staircases in it that all kind of interconnect and intertwined with each other. But there are 3 treasure chest spots mixed in there. We will be able to see a couple of them from across the wall here if we go down the primary way. The left staircase does lead to 2 spots in the little hourglass. That's fairly quick to check, but we can also see those spots here if I cast Radiant, which I do. Good. No treasure chest there, but there is one there. I'm gonna keep going. There's no treasure chest there in the top left corner. There's no treasure chest here in the bottom left corner of the hub section. So there's only one possible treasure chest in the right staircase. There's definitely one treasure chest in the top left staircase on the top floor. There's no vanilla sword chest. Again, this is another reason why Radiant is really helpful. I know Permatorch makes it so that Radiant feels completely irrelevant, at least in standard flags, but with the expanded chest pool, it has a pretty solid utility here. So being a little risky, although again, the bottom floor has more spots than anywhere else. Opting to use the fairy water instead of casting. Checking the bottom treasure chest spot there, and there's nothing. So that's a good heads up play to make sure that there's no treasure chest down there. No treasure chest on the interior here of basement 4. I already know that there's no vanilla spot. I'm not checking the staircase to the right. I can see from here if there's a treasure chest on the top left of the interior portion, but it would be much easier to see it from the other side and I could access it right away. There is a treasure chest there. That's now 2 definitive treasure chests and possibly 3 that I'm skipping, but there's like a dozen spots here on the bottom floor that could have treasure chests. We already see 4 of them. So again, the odds play is that the sword is down here. Good to go on keys. Uh-oh, none of these are guarded. Can we pick up extra fairy waters or herbs or something? Oh, the flute. Great. Awesome. Super helpful. Down to 2 keys, but only 1 treasure chest or 1 key locked location left. Magician being a little bit angry there. Another non-guarded spot. It's got the dragon scale. Couple more treasure chest locations. One here on the top left is there. Okay. Not guarded. Not sword. Oh, good. A key for a key. The principle of equivalent exchange comes through again. I don't know how I feel about the fairy water usage here. If the sword's not down here, I'm either going to have to outside and go to Cantlin, heal up, come right back in, and start digging out all those treasure chests. But if I theoretically could still win this fight, those fairy waters are going to do a heck of a lot more damage than this broadsword. Again, with as much as I have in the way of hit points, there's no treasure chest in the bottom spot. We are not going to get the sword. And now we're down to heal more from casting Hurt More there against the knight. If nothing else, we're doing an informational fight here. Got a chance to see what Dragonlord Part 1 looks like. Is he super scary? Is he super free? Not tremendously high defense, but he's got high attack power. He knows Hurt More, which is actually probably better. Easy 3-shot. Okay. What does Dragonlord Part 2 look like? Going for Stop Spell, I like it. He's got Sleep. This is actually fantastic. Depending on how frequently he casts it, we're gonna get a lot of free turns here. But look at the damage we're doing. 7 and 6 is 13. Oh boy, that's a 4. We're at 23. Looks like I'm going to try to fight this out. Again, it's not impossible. We've got a bunch of fairy waters. We would have had more had we not been using them to do repel during the walk. We only have, what, 3 of them? But they're worth like 3 swings each. 2 to 3 swings. Based on what we've seen so far, our attack power is at most 119. Most of the time, the table for calculating rolls to win doesn't even start below 120. Oh boy. But he's casting Sleep an awful lot. I would assume, based on what we're seeing, it's a 50% sleep roll. And since we Stop Spelled him on the first turn, he's just wasting a lot of time. We have very high likelihood of double attacks anyway, because of our high hit points. Got good defense. We're getting lots of free swings here. Again, I haven't been counting beyond the first couple of swings, but you're seeing just how ridiculous this fight is. Still have 10 heal mores, now 9 left. We've gotten so many swings in. Gosh, even torches would be better than our physical attacks at this point. 6 to 9 damage versus it looks like 4 to 8. Maybe we've done a 9 in there and it's 4 to 9 if we're sitting at 118 or 119 attack power. Certainly we're in any swing could be the killing blow range, but again, that range is so large from 100 to 230 hit points that it's impossible to say that we're very close or not unless we're over 200, which we certainly aren't. $49 is fine to swing at. Nice thing about the Chaos Dragonlord Part 2 is that his strength and agility are unchanged. So the range is still the same. 4 heal mores to spare, doing 4 to 8 damage, no problem. I don't know what the exact hit points was, but that was quite high. That was not a fast fight. That was, what, 3.5 minutes of hacking away at a very low range? But we'll take it. No sword needed. All right, Gwaelin costing us a couple of seconds there, but no big deal. Little less than 75 minutes. Definitely could have been better, no question about it. I think dedicating myself to a grind kind of after we got that big boost from level 3 to 8 in the early game would have helped out immensely. Some of that was exploration to find that good zone, but I think as soon as I saw the Star Wyvern, I think I really needed to pivot to that as a grind immediately. Even some of the earlier enemies that we had seen that were at least in the acceptable range probably should have dedicated to that a little bit sooner. In particular, now granted it was much later on, but that zone that had the, what was it, the Star Wyvern, the Armored Knight, and something else, Wraith, I think, that was sort of between Remolder and Hawksnest. Granted, we found those fairly late, but that would have been an ideal spot to go. That got Hurtmore opened up the treasure guards that we had been having difficulty with, and that would have opened up grinding, more importantly, on the Gold Man in the Swamp Cave, and that would have been by far the best thing we could have done the entire seed. So definitely made some mistakes there in Charlock as well, no question. Should have not necessarily dug out those top level treasure chests, but seeing that there were chests there, especially the one that was in the hourglass on the left side staircase, probably made sense to at least check that one. And then further down, instead of going to the U floor, taking that top right staircase to go downstairs and into the spiral probably should have been done as well. One of those two may have been the sword. Anyway, that's really what it comes down to. It's chaos. Take notes, get your grind done early, locate your noodle if you can, get those early stats and spells. Try to find your good grind enemies on the overworld. Maybe you'll be lucky like I was and find a good grind enemy on a spike tile. Get the stats necessary or that you think are necessary to at least have a shot at the Dragon Lord, and maybe go for an exploratory dive, especially if something like the Sword of the Armor are in Charlock. But yeah, it's a good time. A lot of fun. Again, these different flag sets. All throughout the first 5 weeks here as we are wrapping up the regular season. I don't necessarily plan on doing the postseason flags here. I think those are best left to those who advance to the playoffs to check those out. So I will leave those to you. Hopefully these were enjoyable and hopefully these were useful for you in terms of highlighting some of the unique challenges of the flag sets, as well as some strategies and resources to overcome them. I do hope you consider joining us in the 2025 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Winter League as a player, volunteer, or audience member. All the documentation about the league and a link to the DWR Discord are available in the description. If you enjoyed this, please like and comment below. Feel free to join me at twitch.tv/Diabetes2nd. And thanks again for watching. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.